I don't think you should buy a home, and here's why. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Shant Janessian with My Home Group, and yes, I'm a real estate agent, and I'm telling you why you should not buy a home. And there's a couple of factors that go into this, and you should definitely consult with someone in your area and speak to them. And if you have a financial advisor, definitely talk to them. But I've come up with a couple of things where I'd be like, hey, if you're going through this, you probably should not buy a home. Reason number one, you move often, right? So if you're a type of person who just likes to move and likes new things and doesn't like to stay committed into an area, I would say don't buy a home, because unless you're willing to stay into a place for over 5 years, probably not a good idea to buy a house and then try to sell it, because now you're dealing with trying to sell it and hopefully you have enough equity. If not, you're going to be losing money. In that case, if you like to move a lot, I would definitely recommend you not buying a home yet. Another reason is you travel a lot for work. So I actually had a buddy of mine who used to travel a lot for work. Shout out to you, Saul, man. And he just was like, hey man, it's not worth for you to buy a house because you're always traveling. You're never really home. Why take on that big financial burden when you're never really there to enjoy it? So just better off renting and being able to travel and do all this other stuff. Another reason is if you have an unstable job, right? So if you're kind of in your career where you're not really sure what's going on and you may be moving or needing to find another job, you don't want to move somewhere and buy a house and then be like, oh damn, I lost my job. Now I got to go find something only in my area. You'd rather be flexible. When you're renting, you find something a little bit further away, then you can figure out about the buying situation. But if you're not certain with your job and your financials, definitely would not recommend you buying a house, because that could really screw things up and limit your options of trying to find a job. Another one is social pressure, right? So a lot of times we get social pressure either from friends, families, TV, social media, whatever you want to call it, where if, maybe you just graduated college, you're getting married, and it's like, oh, I gotta buy a house, right? But don't do it because of that, right? Like if you don't wanna buy a house and take on that big responsibility, don't buy a house. Don't buy it because your parents did and you're supposed to stay in your house for 30 years. Like that's not the case anymore. It's okay to rent. There's nothing wrong with renting, especially here in Arizona. There's a lot of cool places where you can rent. You got a pool, you got a gym, you got sick facilities. I did that for a little bit. Why not? It's pretty cool. So lastly, if you have a lot of debt, definitely would not recommend you buying a house. The banks might not even let you buy a house, but just for yourself, if you do have a lot of debt and you're still able to qualify, I would recommend, man, just taking care of debt first, because this is the biggest financial, thing you're going to buy. So you definitely want to have your finances in control. Like I said, talk to a financial advisor if you have, your accountant. Just see where you're at and if it's really the right thing for you to do with all the debt you have. If you're serious still about buying, then you should probably try to sell some of the things you have. If you have a car loan, try to sell that. Do whatever you can. But if you have a lot of debt, I definitely would not recommend you buying a house, because then if something happens and you can't pay that mortgage, you're going to screw yourself in the future. And that's not something I would definitely recommend any of my clients. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. And if you guys please would subscribe, I'll definitely appreciate it. I'll be posting more videos like this for you guys. Take care.